Welcome to the Deer Grove Forest Preserve in Palatine, Illinois. And this is part 2 of us traveling the Palatine, Lake Zurich and Wauconda Railroad 100 years after it closed down. This forest preserve, which is part of the Cook County Forest Preserve system, we're just over the border in Cook County, south of Lake Cook Road, deserves its own video. But the topic of this video is the PLZ&W, a railroad line that closed in 1924. If you haven't yet, watch part 1 of this video, where we travel through the Lake County section of the railroad line, starting up in Wauconda, traveling through my old neighborhood in Lake Zurich, through Killdeer, and down into Deer Park. Camp Reinberg, located within this forest preserve, was probably the biggest selling point for this short-lived railroad line. Chicagoans who wanted to get away for the weekend would leave Chicago on the Chicago and Northwestern line. Yep, the Union Pacific Northwest line. And transfer off that train in Palatine to the Palatine, Lake Zurich, and Wauconda Railroad. They would take it a short little trip north to the Camp Reinberg train station. Yep, the PLZ&W ran right through this forest preserve. There was a train station in this forest preserve, and we're gonna walk some of this forest preserve. Welcome to part 2 of our PLZ&W video, where we have just entered Cook County. Here is the Deer Grove Forest Preserve. Lake Cook Road right up there. Lake Cook Road be right about here. That's where the line would head south through the Forest Preserve, right in between this yellow trail and the service road. Here's where we parked. I don't know if there's any trail clearing at this point. I'm sure most everything has grown over at this point. And continuing south till it basically met up with this lighter trail. Cross Quinton Road right here and continue along to this southern point where the railroad line would go straight south, passing Dundee Road and continuing on. So while the actual right-of-way would be somewhere in between the yellow trail and the service road, this lighter trail is definitely the exact right-of-way. I've confirmed that from multiple sources. So the right-of-way would be somewhere in this area. What is really nice was in those older 1920s-ish satellite views that I referenced in the previous video, you could clearly see that these service roads were already here. So you had the service roads and you had the right-of-way clearly visible. So that was awesome. But it would be roughly in this area somewhere. There's a little creek there. I don't know if that means anything, but roughly in this area where we're standing right now is where the right-of-way would have crossed this service road. Not really seeing any clearing or anything of significance. I mean, like I said, there's this little creek here, but again, don't know if that actually means anything. Alright, let's head down the yellow trail. Again, somewhere right about here is where the railroad line would cross this service road. And like I said, Camp Reinberg was definitely a selling point for this railroad line for the short time that it existed. And we will discuss shortly many of the downfalls and bad luck that this railroad line did have. They did originally plan to expand this, making roughly a 70-mile railroad line through Lake and McHenry County. Of course, that definitely did not happen. All right, that's gonna do it for the yellow trail. The yellow trail does continue that way, but the line that is officially the PLZ&W right of way is the tan line, the tan unpaved trail. All right, let's do it. Let's travel the PLZ&W. This is considered by most to be one of the most significant portions of right-of-way. Of course, I took you in part 1 through Lions Drive, but most, consider this to be the actual railroad line that you can still walk and travel through. And we're about to cross over Quinton Road. Now there's a very interesting sign up here. I will show you that in a second. And there's Camp Reinberg. Full disclosure, I didn't do any research on Camp Reinberg before filming this video, so if you do have any insight into this campground, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Yep, the sign is still there. We have a closed sign. As far as I know, the trail is still open. Maybe that's just to keep cars from driving on it, but I'm not going to do this two-part video on the PLZ&W and not walk the tan unpaved trail here at Deer Grove Forest Preserve. Come on. This is like the main feature of this two-part video here, so yeah, we're going to check this out. All right, let's do this. All right, this is going to be kind of difficult to get over. Whew, that was tough. We are on the tan trail. The official right of way. Camp Reinberg is behind that fence there. Don't know exactly where the train station was. That I couldn't figure out. All right, we got some nice views of Camp Reinberg here. I didn't think it would be that accessible. That's pretty cool. Oh wow, there's an old house over here too. Guessing that was part of the campground at some point. Okay, I did not expect to be filming any abandoned houses today. I'm okay with that though. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the backyard or anything, but that is neat. Share the trail. Oh yeah, I could definitely get railroad vibes here. Now when we finally reach the southern point of this trail, it will start to head back northeast, away from where the right-of-way is. At that southern point, it turns right, heads south, crosses Dundee, and then continues on into Palatine. And there's an interesting trail over there as well that I want to check out, because Palatine has their own local trail that is pretty much the right-of-way as well, as far as I can tell. All right, this is it, I guess. We're here at the southern point of the Tan Trail. Right behind me is where the PLZ&W would turn south and cross Dundee Road. The Tan Trail does continue on this way, but I want to walk over here for a second. Just curious about something. Rumors were that there were remnants of an old bridge somewhere over here that crossed a creek. Part of the original railroad line. But again, those photos that were taken, I'll have a bunch of references linked in the description below, are long gone. But I think this is the old creek. Yeah, there's a little water here. Yeah, I don't see nothing. Somewhere in this area here was a railroad bridge. Dundee Road's right over there, only Route 68. But yeah, I don't think we're gonna find anything today. Alright, time to head back to the car, and I'll see you over at the Palatine bike trail. Spotted this random stone as I was just about ready to cross Quitting. I don't know if that means anything. Now, fun fact, or maybe not so fun fact because it kind of insults me. Around the period of 1920, 1921, they renamed this railroad line to the Chicago, Palatine, and Wauconda Railroad. Maybe they thought adding the Chicago part would get them more service, but they dropped the Lake Zurich part, where I lived for 7 years. Not cool. And interestingly enough, it failed a few years later, so maybe they should have kept the Lake Zurich part. And speaking of Lake Zurich, during the time that this railroad line was in operation, Lake Zurich and Wauconda were still definitely considered very much to be vacation resort towns. Think of Lake Geneva. Yeah, this is where all the Chicagoans travel to. To the little lakes and beaches over the weekend. And it was pretty convenient to use that railroad line. Welcome to the Palatine Bike Trail. And welcome to Dundee Road, Illinois State Route 68. And this sign is basically a perfect marker for the Palatine, Lake Zurich, and Wauconda Railroad would cross Dundee Road and enter the Deer Grove Forest Preserve. The tan unpaved trail, that little creek that we were checking out, yeah, it's literally right over there. This is definitely a part of the PLZ&W. Maybe not as exact as the tan unpaved line in Deer Grove, but pretty darn close. If you look at the satellite view, you can definitely tell that after they cleared this line out of here, they eventually made this trail. So this is definitely not the original pavement from 1924, but particularly in this section here, in the northern section of this trail, is just about as exact of the right-of-way as you're going to get. From this point on, the railroad line took a direct southern route till it met up with the then Chicago and Northwestern Railroad, now the Union Pacific Northwest line. And this is where things start to get a little iffy. Trail gets a little curvy at this point. Heads to the left, obviously, but the right-of-way, the best I could tell, pretty much continued straight on. And you kind of get that idea here. If you can use your imagination a little bit, you can see how these houses are aligned parallel to the trail. So if we head right over here and look south, yeah, this is pretty much going to be the original right-of-way. Unfortunately, from here on out, the right-of-way has been completely taken over by the passage of time and housing development in Palatine. Unfortunately, until we get to the Union Pacific Northwest line and where I roughly think it connected, there's not going to be much left to see. I'm not even sure where the southern terminus train station exactly is. I did message the Palatine Historical Society or something like that, saying, hey, do you got any info on where this train line ended, where the train station was? And all they responded was, hey, call us and we could discuss it further. Like, no, I just wanted you to message me and talk over Messenger. I don't want to talk to people. I'm an introvert. But I do kind of have a rough-ish idea, again, based on those satellite images. And that is where we're going to be ending today's two-part, I don't know, can I call this a documentary? And I think we're back on the right of way again. Some things to look out for. You see the tree line. And, like I mentioned in the last video, power lines. Always look for power lines when you're trying to track a railroad line. And back to tree lines. Follow the tree line. Even though this area has been taken over by housing development, you could still get a good idea on Google Maps, even today, where this right-of-way once was. Alright, and we're back at Palatine Park District's Robert Dutch Schultz Recreation Area. Continuing south, we just got a little bit more to go. And right here at Mulligan Court is right about where the line would have crossed US Route 14. And right here at Colfax Street and Stephen Drive, right behind this brick building, is the Union Pacific Northwest line. And that is, to my best guess, the PLZ&W would have met up with the Northwest line. Ooh, do we get to end this video with the little Metra action? How appropriate would that be? Getting ready to pick up the passengers at Palatine. Nice. Now for weeks, I was looking through old blogs, videos, satellite images, old photos, and I still don't have an exact location for this train station. Part of the issue is that this road here, Station Street, used to cross over the tracks diagonally somewhere along here, and it really kind of messes up the old photos. But basically, the best I can go with is here at North Bothwell Street and West Station Street in downtown Palatine. Interestingly enough, where this statue is here, this guy blowing a horn and riding a horse, would be roughly where the southern terminus of the PLZ&W and the Palatine train station would be. I can't confirm it 100%, but pretty sure it was right in this area. I don't know if that statue has any significance or not, but I'm pretty sure the station was just west of Plum Grove Road, which is right ahead. That will have to remain a mystery for now, but definitely no reason why I can't do a follow-up video if I get more information. For now, I'm going to say this guy in this location is the southern terminus of the PLZ&W. Now let's talk about its downfalls. Any Palatine historians like to fill me in, feel free to do so in the comments below. I will return. There's a ton of stuff I could do in just Palatine, so more than happy to make a dedicated Palatine video, and I will cover the train station history if you could help me out a little. The Palatine, Lake Zurich, and Wauconda Railroad only lasted about 12 years, from 1912 to 1924. Not a very long life for a railroad, for sure. So what led to its downfall? Well, I have notes. If you remember from part 1, I got my packet of notes. I came prepared, because otherwise I know I was going to forget something. Alright, secondhand equipment. Possibly leftover equipment from the Chicago Northwestern line. Not certain about that though. So, things were breaking pretty quickly. The steep trestle that was built to cross the Elgin, Joliet, and Eastern Lake Zurich, I mentioned that in the first video, that was a little difficult to climb, especially in certain weather. Financial mismanagement. Oh boy, when's that not a problem with any company these days, right? Improvement of local roads. Yeah, that's a big one. So all the old ran roads, main streets and stuff that you've seen through Wauconda, Lake Zurich, yeah, those were once kind of horse and buggy dirt trails. Eventually they started to get a little bit more modern. Which leads right into the next one, and probably the biggest factor that led to its downfall, and that is the rise of the automobile. More people are realizing, well, hey, Lake Zurich, Wauconda's not that far. Why take a train when I could just drive there? Kind of like we all do today, right? And ultimately it just wasn't getting the riders and service that it needed to stay afloat. And finally, some significant events that also definitely did not help its fate. And this is just bad luck all around. Okay, so they didn't have any snow equipment for this line. So when they had the Great Blizzard of 1918, I wasn't around for that, volunteers had to dig the line out of 42 inches of snowfall and 10 to 20 foot snow drifts. That's crazy. So they had no equipment for removal, so volunteers who were really passionate about this line literally dug it out so the trains could start running again. Then there was the 1920 Palm Sunday tornado. Big tornado that went through the Wauconda area mostly, I think. Definitely damaged some lines and equipment there. In 1922, Rand Road, which is now Old Rand Road, was paved for the first time. Which again, going back to the improvement of local roads and the rise of automobiles. So yeah, the cars were competition. And then what many consider to be the nail in the coffin in 1924, August 1924 to be exact, major flooding in the area. And due to substandard construction of the railroad line and inadequate drainage, resulted in the rail line being underwater for a significant portion the rest of that year. And that was basically when they decided that it wasn't worth fixing, so they let it drown. I hate to end this two-part video on such a sad note, but that's what we gotta do. That's what happened. The PLZ&W drowned. That's the end of the story. Even though I have to end this on a sad note, this is still pretty cool. I'm glad I covered this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comments. If this is something you like, I'll do more documentaries. I don't know exactly on what. Leave some suggestions in the comments below, but I really did have a fun time. I've been out here since 10 o'clock and it is 3:30. So this has been an all-day thing, but I got it done in one day, so I'm kind of happy about that. So, beautiful weather. This was the perfect time to do this. And we got another metro going through. And on that, you can see the metro right there. That's the perfect way to end this video on a positive note. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for the support.